أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings, peace be upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his household, his companions, and all those who follow him until the day of judgment. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So tonight, inshallah, we'll continue with the story of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yesterday we spoke about his dua and the specific situation that happened in the place called Ta'if, which is near to the city of Mecca, around 60 miles. So tonight, inshallah, we'd like to share with you Prophet's love and tolerance for mankind, for everybody, not only for the specific people, but for everybody. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given every single prophet one request, one supplication that is guaranteed to be accepted. So that is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He bestowed upon them, peace be upon all of them. So the prophets and messengers of Allah, the past, they have used this to ask something that they really want to see fulfilled. So some of the prophets used this against their own people because they used to get so frustrated. As we mentioned yesterday, how some of the prophets used to ask, for example, the Noah alayhi salatu wasalam, after preaching for 900 years, 950 years, he alayhi salatu wasalam got frustrated, and his people for still not listening to his message and made this supplication. So he basically used this opportunity of the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to him instead to ask for guidance. But he said, "Oh Allah, I don't want you to leave one house of disbelievers on this earth." So, which means to destroy all of them. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed his city, which was all of the humanity at that time. So all of them used to be humans. Similarly, we have like a dua or supplication of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, who made supplication to Allah for Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, asking for the messenger to come from his progeny. So that is why the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said in the hadith, in one narration, I am the dua, I am supplication of my father Ibrahim. So I'm basically blessing of Ibrahim's dua, and that's why I'm here. And we have, as we mentioned yesterday, Musa alayhi salatu, the Moses, who made supplication against Pharaoh, against his people. So he said, "Oh Allah, do not guide this person," and that's exactly what happened. So Pharaoh died as disbeliever in God. So hatta, as I mentioned in the Quran Kareem, and then when the death came to him, so then he said, "Amantu, I believe in the God that Musa alayhi salatu wasalam believed." So, and that was too late for him, of course, because of the dua of Musa alayhi salatu. And we have same thing, dua of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, peace be upon him, who made supplication to Allah to give me, he said, "Give me a dominion that you have given to no other human before me." So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled, and he gave him the power that no one had before him. So, and no one will have that power as Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam had. But when we come to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we mentioned yesterday, instead to curse the people, instead to use this opportunity, we will talk about that inshallah, I hope even more. So what he said, he make actually dua. So he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the hadith, Allah has given one dua to every single prophet and every single messenger that he has guaranteed that he will be responding to. So if the prophet make dua to Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond, will accept his dua. And even every single prophet, every single prophet used up this dua for himself in this world, in this dunya, except for me. I have saved it, and I have not used it, and I will use it on the next life, and the hereafter. I have kept this dua, this request for my ummah on the day of judgment. So, and my dua will be, oh Allah, forgive my entire ummah. Allahu Akbar. So that is different between Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam and the rest of the messengers and prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he made a dua. Actually, he left dua for the day of judgment, and his dua will be, oh Allah, forgive my entire ummah. So this dua of the Prophet ﷺ, and he said in the hadith, well-known hadith, I'm sure that all of you may hear it or you know it. He said, "Kullun yadkhul al-jannah." All of you will enter to paradise. Illa man aba, except those who reject to enter to paradise. And he used to ask, O Messenger of Allah, who will reject? Who will reject to go to paradise? And he said, Man ata'ani dakhala al-jannah wa man asani faqad aba. Whoever obeys me will enter to paradise, and whoever disobeys me, he is the one who rejected to go to paradise. So that is how the Prophet ﷺ is so merciful to his ummah, to all the people, to everyone. So the Prophet ﷺ is introduced in the Quran Kareem as the mercy of Allah, as the mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and we have sent you, O Muhammad, except we sent you, O Muhammad, forth as a mercy to mankind. So وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So we sent you, O Muhammad, as a mercy to mankind. So this ayah, actually from Surah Al-Anbiya, so this ayah is showing us and telling us that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a distinctive quality. He has that quality that was a blessing incarnate in the word of and the deed. So it was, as Aisha radiallahu anha, when the companions is asking about the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam, she used to say, "Kana khuluquhu al-Quran." His behavior, his conduct is Quran. So he used to act accordingly. So whatever Quran, basically, if we want to understand the Prophet ﷺ, then we have to come back to Quran. We have to recite, we have to read the Quran in order to understand the life of the Prophet ﷺ and who was he. So according to the hadith recorded by Imam Muslim, when the Prophet's opponents, greatly increased their persecution in Mecca, so the people, the companions, that's human nature. So they have a lot of challenges, persecution, humiliation, disrespect, no tolerance whatsoever. So the companions said, O Messenger of Allah, curse them. Ask Allah subhanahu to curse them. And upon that he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as narrated from Abu Huraira, قيل يا رسول الله ادعوا على المشركين. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against the mushrikun, the polytheists. قال إني لم أبعث لعانا وإنما بعثت رحمة. I have not been sent to lay a curse upon man, but to be a blessing to them. So God did not send me to curse people. to tell them bad words, to curse them, and ask Allah, God, oh God, destroy this because he is bad or she is bad or so. No. He said, my job as a prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving me. So he sent me as a mercy to them. So I cannot do that. So his opponents continue to treat him and his companions, radiallahu anhum, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with them, unjustly, and very, very harshly. But he always prayed for them, even for the enemies, those who stood against him, those who fought him, those who killed his companions, the best friends. But still he did not make dua against them. Once he was so badly stoned, by his enemies, and that story is from yesterday in the Taif. So, and the angel, when appeared to him to ask, if you want to destroy these people, he said, oh my Lord, oh Allah, guide my people along the truth path, as they are ignorant of the truth. Allahumma hadi qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Allahumma hadi Thaqifan. So he said, oh Allah, guide Thaqif, Banu Thaqif, which is the tribe of the Taif. Oh Allah, guide them. And then another hadith, Inna Allah lam yab'athani ta'ana wa la la'ana walakin ba'athan da'ina wa rahmatan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not me send to curse the people, and instead he sent me as a caller and as a mercy to them. Allahumma hadi qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Another hadith is, oh Allah, guide my people because they don't know, they are ignorant, they don't know. So his heart was filled with intense love for all humankind, irrespective of caste or creed or color, belief, faith. Once he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, advised his companions to regard all people as their brothers and sisters, because we belong to basically we are one kind, the human beings, from same father, from same mother. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kullukum li Adam, all you are all Adam's offspring. Kullukum li Adam wa Adam min turab. And Adam was born of clay. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, from the clay. So all of us, kullukum, all of you are, Adam's offspring. You belong to Adam. Adam is your father. So all this hadith and ayat tells us what kind, of awareness he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wanted to bring about in man. So his mission, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was to bring people, to the reality that all men and women of, all the inhabitants, different religions of the world, and seemingly different from one another as regards their color or language or dress or culture or just name it. So we're each other's, basically we have same blood, brothers and sisters blood, so hence the proper relationship will be established between all human beings only if they regard one another as brothers and sisters. So we have to respect each other. This is our teaching. This is what our religion. This is what Islam. This is what the Prophet ﷺ taught us. So only then, when we have all these equality, same rights, respect, love, respecting others' ideas, opinions, thinking. So then, when we have this kind of proper love and feelings and respect, it prevails throughout the world. Because the Prophet ﷺ is always forgiveness is always over revenge. That is the characteristic of the Prophet ﷺ, and should be characteristic of those who follow him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. According to the hadith from Prophet ﷺ, he one time he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a true believer is one with whom others feel secure. المسلم من سلم من لسانه ويده. one who returns love for hatred, the hadith. So a true believer is one with whom others feel secure. No lying or in the business, any kind of the interaction. Whoever does any kind of the business with the Muslim man should be secure. And one who returns love for hatred. Somebody is spreading the hatred, instead to return same, but instead you are spreading the love. You know, there's one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ said, you know, "Ala adullukum ala shay'in," you know. So you will not be in the hadith. You will not be true believers until you love each other. You know, so that to be on that darajah, on that level, true believer, you need to have love for human beings, even if they are, you know, sinners, even if they are committing minor or major sins. Still, we have to that love. So, ألا أدلكم على شيء إن فعلتموه تحاببتم. So, would you like to tell you something? And if you do that, it will increase your love. You know. And he said, they said, yes, Bela. So he said, you know, Afshu salam, you say, spread peace amongst you. Spread peace, because peace is important. Everybody likes peace. So that is one of our greetings when we meet each other. You know, says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So the Prophet ﷺ make it, you know, made it clear that one who would only return love for love was on a lover ethical plan. And we should never think that we should treat people well only if they if they treat us well. So if you treat me well, so I will treat you well. Otherwise, you know, it will be war between us. So that is not the case. So we should rather be, you know, accustomed to being good to those who are not good to us. If somebody is badly language, or, you know, full language, or cursing, or this and that, so we have to show the other beautiful face of Islam that Prophet ﷺ was teaching us. So the Prophet ﷺ once, you know, borrowed some money from a Jew, from a Jewish man. So after a few days, the Jew came to, you know, to demand the payment of his debt to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet told him that at the moment, he had nothing, you know. I cannot pay you right now. So the Jew said that he wouldn't, you know, let him go until he had paid him back of his amount of the money. And so the Jew stayed there, you know, from morning till night, basically, sitting, holding the Prophet, you know, captive. At that time, the Prophet ﷺ was, you know, was the established ruler of Medina, and could have, you know, easily act against him, you know, so, or he at least make dua or so. But his companions naturally wanted to rebuke, you know, the man, and to chase him away to, you know what people wants to do, you know. So, but the Prophet ﷺ said no. He forbade it. You know, you cannot do that. And no, it's not allowed. Saying, you know, he said to them, you know, the Lord has forbidden us to wrong anyone. No, you know, don't do that. It's not allowed in our faith, in our religion. If you're real followers of mine, you know, so then you should not do that. So the Jew continued to hold the Prophet captive until the following morning, you know, so it was a long time. But with the first light of the dawn, the Jew was moved by the Prophet's, you know, tolerance, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he thereupon embraced Islam, you know. So that's how Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam teach them. Somebody saying Salamu alaikum salam. So that was the conduct of the Prophet ﷺ, and he has that much, you know, impact on that person, that he was willingly after that, when he embraced Islam, he was willingly giving his wealth to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, spend it, you know, as you please. spend it just as you wish. Just go ahead. So that was or another example that he had a neighbor, a Jew, one boy, and they used to put in front of his door, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a lot of trash, and every morning telling bad words and putting trash and throwing something bad on him and so on. And then one morning he woke up and there is no trash, nobody's cursing him, nobody's saying bad words after him, and nobody's chasing him. So, and he was asking about his neighbor, what's going on, what's wrong? And they said, he is sick. And he went there, in his house and asking, how are your neighbors? Just this morning I woke up and I didn't find, all these kind of the trash and the cursing words and so on. Just coming to see you. How are you? Are you doing well? Everything is okay? So the boy was actually, dying, and he invited him in Islam, to accept Islam. And the boy was looking to his father. He said, Ati Abul Qasim, obey the Abul Qasim, obey the Prophet. What he's asking you do. And he accepted Islam, subhanallah. And then the Prophet said, Alhamdulillah. So he said, praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I have saved one soul from hellfire. Allahu Akbar. That is the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ. So if we act on this way as the Prophet ﷺ teaching us, well, the situation will be much better. But of course, there is a lot of ignorance in these days, and even from our side as a Muslim. So according to another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is not a believer, and he is swearing by Allah 3 times that someone who is not a believer, with whom his neighbor are not secure. So if your neighbor is not secure from you, so he is not a true believer. He doesn't follow what Prophet ﷺ used to teach. So this hadith shows how much he loved and how much he loved and how much he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, cared for all human beings. One of the lessons he taught was that we should live among others like followers and not like thrones, without giving trouble to anyone. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if a believer is not able to benefit others, he must at least do them no harm. So if you cannot bring benefit, general benefit or small number, even don't try to harm one. Just try to to hold your tongue, to hold your words and your hands and so on. So be just a beneficial person. And there are so many hadiths. One of them is, al-mu'minu kan-nahla aynama taqa, nafa. So the mu'min, the believer, is like a bee, whenever it flows, falls on it, it benefits. So when it goes on the flowers, the bee, so it makes honey from it. So you're just bringing honey, instead to bring something when you showing up in a gathering, So you're trying to benefit them or say something good to them, and instead to curse them and say something bad to these people or that group, so particular group that you are in. So these are things that the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us. So, and this hadith, as we mentioned, to bring the benefit, this hadith shows us that Prophet ﷺ, the man who becomes useful to others, leads his life on the higher plan. But if he fails to do so, then he should at least create no trouble for his fellow men, for his gathering. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save all of us. So the Prophet's example was testified by the Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, who used to serve like his assistant, the Prophet's assistant, Anas ibn Malik. He said, I served the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years. So, and the Prophet ﷺ never told me or rebuked him, He never told him if he does something, why you're doing that, or if he didn't, why you're did not do that. So he said, when I did something, he never questioned my manner of doing it. And when I did not do something, he never questioned my failure to do it. He was the most good nature of man. You know, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You are on the highest level of the good morals. Prophet sallallahu, that is description of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam in the Quran. So, you know, such conduct gained him the respect even of his enemies. You know, and his followers stood by him through all kinds of hardships and misfortune. He applied the principles on which his own life was based in equal measure to those who follow his path and to those who had harmed or you know, tried to harm him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, in the presence of the world, everyone's thinking, you know, taste and likes or dislikes can never exactly coincidences for many reasons, you know. And so, but what is the, you know, permanent solution of the problem? So the solution is lies in the tolerance. So that is the Prophet's life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one of his example and the principles was according to his wife Aisha radiallahu anha, and she said, actually he was asked about him, and he said he was a, you know, personification of the Quran. He was basically following every letter of the Quran, you know. So that is the life of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's one of the examples. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, was seated at some place in Medina with his companions, and there is you know, janazah, or during this sitting timing, that there is one janazah is passing the funeral, and Prophet ﷺ stood up, and one of the companions, you know, told him, you know, it is just funeral, you know, and it is a Jew. So the Prophet ﷺ replied to this person, said, was he not a human being? So what if he's a Jew, if he's a Christian, if he's this and that, so if he's white, if he's black, you know, was he not a human being? As long as he's a human being, we should show respect. And he's already dead, so will not harm you if you show respect. So that is how the Prophet ﷺ showed respect and love to all the creatures. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be his real followers and to follow what he was teaching us. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatuhu ta'ala wa barakatuh.